Hey folks, it's Emma, Super Sensitive Human, and I thought I'd try a new segment called Bedtime Chats, where you can get to know me a little bit better and I just talk about myself. So today I was thinking about personality tests, and I hate personality typing, any kind of types, whether it's putting people in these boxes, whether it's the 4 elements or the zodiac signs or the Myers-Briggs. I hate it when people take that stuff very seriously because I think it really does a disservice to the complexity of people and allows people to see you through a lens that's like, just explains away everything. Oh, you're this way because you're a Leo. Now I see why you're so conceited. Nevertheless, it can be a good place to start a discussion. So I thought maybe I would go through in the future some types, and today I picked the Enneagram to look at. So I don't know if we have any Enneagram fans out there. Maybe you want to take a pause and guess what one I am of these types. There's 9 types. Now that you've written down your guess, I'm gonna reveal that I took 2 free tests and they both came out with type 4, the individualist, which seems appropriate. Identity seekers who feel unique and different. Now, if you watch my channel intro, I mention that my channel is for other people who feel like weirdos, loners, and old souls. So you might be a type 4 too if you're one of my regular subscribers. People of this personality type tend to build their identities around their perception of themselves as being somehow different or unique. Thus they are self-consciously individualistic. Definitely self-conscious. Definitely like, oh, I want to be this way, I want to dress this way, but I feel like people are looking at me. I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm stubborn. 4s tend to see their difference from others as being both a gift and a curse. A gift because it sets them apart from those they perceive as somehow common, and a curse as it so often seems to separate them from the simpler forms of happiness that others so readily seem to enjoy. That's kind of like the gift and the curse of being super sensitive. Being highly perceptive, but also being highly reactive to a lot of stuff and basically being allergic to the world. 4s can manage to feel superior to others while secretly harboring some degree of longing and envy. A feeling of being a member of the true aristocracy alternates with deep feelings of shame and fears of somehow being deeply flawed or defective. Check. I've got those for sure. Definitely have an inferiority complex that definitely comes from childhood experiences and feeling different and being different. Quite literally, I was quite different and weird with my selective mutism, and perhaps the selective mutism in turn came out of being different and weird in some other way, like being super sensitive. That developed into pathology. 4s are emotionally complex and highly sensitive. No kidding! They long to be understood and appreciated for their authentic selves, but easily feel misunderstood and unappreciated. I think I wrote something just like that on the last time I had my OkCupid profile on, was something like, people, I just want to be valued for who I am. I feel like people, take my good traits and make them into bad traits. They have a tendency to withdraw in the face of a world that seems harsh or crude and are somewhat moody or temperamental. Definitely a recluse. Even when I was like a teenager, I dreamed of being a recluse. More so the harder time I was having in like grades that I had a less pleasant time in. But even like my most, my happiest fantasies were fairly reclusive, about living in a cabin in the woods with just like one partner that you had to canoe to, and we like live on fish and stuff. And of course, you know that I'm still reclusive and withdrawn and don't really leave this house very much, or this area very much, which is a remote area. Often somewhat moody or temperamental. That one I don't agree with so much, because it seems to imply like a lot of up and down moodiness, whereas I'm pretty much consider myself to be dysthymically depressed, and just depressed all the time. I might appear manic because one video I seem happy and one video I seem sad, but inside I feel the same. I feel like I was like, feel like shit and want to die all the time. Friends of mine have said that I'm fairly stable, like I just seem the same all the time. They are emotionally centered and spend much of their lives immersed in internal mental landscapes where they feel free to cultivate and analyze their feelings. I mean, I feel emotionally and mentally centered. So yeah, the mental landscapes thing is right. It's like a mental and emotional landscape. I feel like that's the analyzing the feelings, is the combination of them. You have these feelings and then you're analyzing them. You might be better off just having them and letting them go rather than trying to understand them, which is what I do. That's like perhaps more of a dissociative habit, is to try and think your way and fix your way through problems with your brain, rather than just letting the emotions pass through and being present and going about things with your intuition. But I have a lot of emotions. I feel like I have a billion stuck feelings in me. Like when people talk about releasing stuck emotions with different techniques, I feel like I must have like a million or a billion. Whether artistic or not, however, most 4s are aesthetically sensitive and concerned with self-expression and self-revelation, whether it be in the clothes they wear or in the overall nature of their often idiosyncratic lifestyles. Check. I wish that I often am unhappy with the way things are aesthetically. I'm like, want it to be better. I'm unhappy with the clothes. I'm unhappy with my hair and appearance. I'm unhappy with the way the house looks or the garden looks. It's like I have the aesthetic temperament, but I can't quite get there. I can't quite get to marry my image with the how to get to the image. So I'm impressed with people who create something that I just like the way it looks, because I feel like everything I do is tainted with shit. 4s are somewhat melancholic by disposition and under stress tend to lapse into depression. That is true, but I lapse into anxiety quite a bit. If anything, I consider my anxiety more of a long-standing habit than depression. I was never depressed. I never considered myself depressed prior to age 18 when I got chronic fatigue. They also tend to be self-absorbed even under the best of circumstances, but when unbalanced, easily give way to a self-indulgence which they perceive as being fully justified as a way to compensate for the general lack of pleasure they experience in their lives. Self-indulgence, it's depends on what you mean by that. So self-indulgence is often, it's doing what you want, doing whatever you want. And a lot of people think about when that is something luxurious, like I'm gonna sit in bed and watch movies and eat cookies and drink beer and text my ex for some hookup, and I don't do any of those things. My self-indulgence, doing whatever I want, is like what I was just saying, becoming self-absorbed and becoming analytical and trying to fix things. My greatest desire as a sick person and a hurting person is to be well. And so that's my greatest feeling, is to feel good. And I have a more mature way of doing that than just eating cookies. But it's like it's an up level, but it's still unhealthy, I think. It's like you know, doing too much meditation, doing too much journaling, doing too much research on adrenal fatigue, spending too much money on a new supplement. That's my form of self-indulgence, when really I just need to ignore the problem and do the dishes and make my videos and try and create in a different area of my life. Just ignore the problem and try and create something new that may not solve the problem directly, but may in the long run solve the problem. I don't know if that makes any sense. My indulgence would be like, oh, I'm feeling too bad to do my homework, I'm going to do yoga instead. Which isn't the worst flaw in the world, but it's still a flaw. It would be great if this you know, self-help stuff, I just did it, went to a therapist and it helped, then it wouldn't be self-indulgent, it would be a problem solving that would allow me to go back into the world and deal with the other things, the making the videos and the cooking and hanging out with other people, but it doesn't work that way. So I just have to limit that sort of healing indulgence to, you know, an hour or two a day, and then pretend like my disease doesn't exist, basically. I mean, what are you gonna do? I don't know a better way than that. 4s often focus on what they perceive to be their defects. They tend to lack self-confidence and have low self-esteem. Check mark. Yeah, that would be pretty hard. It would be pretty hard for a kid who feels unique to develop self-confidence and self-esteem unless their uniqueness is celebrated and validated and recognized by their family and their peers. If it's not, they're obviously going to feel like a weirdo, even if part of them has that pride, because it's like, knows like, hey, there's something good here, but if nobody else can see it, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this good is bad. And so you can imagine that happening with a lot of things. Opening a strengthened heart chakra helps them to connect better to people and to cease obsessing about themselves. Yeah, I need that. Need heart stuff in general. I don't ever feel anything in my heart area. I like feel numb in my heart area compared to other areas of my body, like physically. Like I don't feel energetic sensations in that area. It's all my belly. My belly is full of so that's my type. Let me know if you think it sounds accurate based on my